Welcome to Your Childhood is Over. No, it's not. Where we discuss how people from an abusive childhood are likely to invite abuse back into their adult lives through a sinister hidden force called repetition compulsion. My name is Annette Hunter. I'm a medical doctor. These videos are my opinion based on many years where I was under the control of this force. These videos are not a substitute for therapy. If you feel emotionally overwhelmed or have any thoughts of self-harm, please contact a qualified therapist or your doctor immediately. Thank you. Hello and welcome to Your Childhood is Over. No, it's not. As you know, this channel is mainly about what is called repetition compulsion, and I explain this in my other videos. But today I want to talk about a related separate issue, one that I found especially difficult to deal with in my life. And this issue is why we don't tell people that our parents were toxic or abusive. When I was walking the dogs today, this question came into my mind again. It's a question I ask myself all the time, and I came up with 4 answers to this question. See if you agree with what I answered, and have you any other answers you could add to mine. So here's the question again. Why don't we tell people that our parents were toxic or abusive? It's a question many of us who grew up in painful or confusing homes silently wrestle with. Have you ever asked yourself this question? In my experience, I think there's a strong taboo out there that we should never say anything bad about our parents. If we do say something bad, we then have to listen to someone say things like, but you only have one mother, or you'll miss them when they're gone, or they did their best for you, why are you so ungrateful, and so on. Now, these people make us feel so guilty for daring to tell them about our childhood. If you do say anything, these people make you feel so ashamed. But the shame doesn't belong to you, does it? No, it belongs to the abuser. I'll give you a laugh. I went on a coffee date one time with a guy. I didn't know him at all. So it was my first time to sit down and chat to him. He asked me about my parents, and I told him, without going into any detail, that I didn't really get on with my dad. That was all I said. And this is what he said back to me. Oh no, don't tell me you're another woman who's daddy issues. Jeannie Mac, I thought to myself, what an ignorant, judgmental man. I didn't meet him again, I can tell you. For once, I listened to my instincts. This man would certainly not be someone I would ever want to confide in. Anyhow, let's go back to the question. Why don't we tell people that our parents were toxic or abusive? I think the first reason we say nothing is because we don't want to be seen as bashing our parents. We don't tell people our parents were toxic or abusive because we don't want to be seen as if we're attacking or disrespecting our parents. This creates a terrible emotional conflict. On one hand, we want to love our parents. They're our family, after all. But on the other hand, we feel hurt, angry, and betrayed by the way they treated us. That inner conflict between love and pain can be so overwhelming that it's easier to stay silent than to try and explain it. When I was younger, I really struggled with this conflict. It hit me badly at times, like Christmas and other holidays. I used to feel so sad watching the ads on television, which showed happy families all gathering around the Christmas tree, laughing and hugging each other. So I got into the habit of escaping at Christmas. I would end up going far away to work, any excuse not to have to be at home. I began to hate Christmas, as it would only remind me of how I had no family home to go to where I could feel safe and where I could enjoy the holiday season. My parents were at home for sure, but I would never know at what moment the atmosphere would suddenly explode and chairs and pots would be flung in my direction or a fist would land on me. So in order to avoid any abusive situations at home, I just stopped going home for Christmas. One year, I once went even so far away as to work in Baghdad, and I live in Ireland. I worked in one of the big hospitals there. Usually I would just head to the Aran Islands and let the resident doctor take time off. I would be on duty for the whole 3 islands, and there'd be people drunk, falling over, breaking their bones. I remember dealing with fractured ankles, fractured arms, and even some fractured skulls. I was the only doctor on duty for the 3 islands, and it was actually a scary time to be on duty with all the drinking at that time of year. Imagine I would choose that scenario rather than to be with my family at Christmas. Says a lot about my need to avoid my family home, doesn't it? Do you find you do this too? Do you choose to be anywhere rather than to be with your parents at holiday times? Now, in my opinion, I do think something really important can be said here in relation to the conflict we feel. Say in relation to wanting to love our parents but being confused about how we feel because of the way they treated us. What can change this awful conflict is if the toxic or abusive parent, our parents, gives us an apology. I think hearing an apology helps healing. And it helps us to forgive, as we can only start to heal and start to forgive when someone actually apologises for abusing us. But sadly, for many of us, an apology never comes. Therefore, we forever struggle to heal and we forever struggle to forgive, and we definitely struggle to tell anyone about our toxic or abusive childhood. I think the second reason we don't tell anyone about our parents if they were toxic and abusive is because we feel shame admitting we had parents like this. It's painful to admit that our own family wasn't safe or loving. Like there's a deep sense of shame that can come from saying, my parents hurt me. Sometimes we internalise that shame and start to wonder, does this mean I'm damaged goods? Or what does this say about me? It can feel like revealing that truth makes us broken or unworthy, even though none of this was our fault. The third reason I think we don't tell people if our parents were toxic or abusive is because we don't want to be labelled as a perpetual victim. We don't want people to accuse us of being stuck in the past. Like we fear being labelled as whinge bags or complainers or perpetual victims. Like there's so much pressure in society to move on or forgive and forget that it can make us feel like sharing our truth means we're weak or attention seeking. So we bottle it up, even when silence keeps us isolated from real understanding and healing. If you look at the title of my book, Your Childhood is Over. No, it's not. I think this is a good place to explain how I came up with this title. Take the first part of the title, Your Childhood is Over. That's what a person shouted at me when I was telling them about how upset I was at something that happened in my childhood. I was in my 40s at the time and I was still feeling upset about some issue in my past. When this person shouted, Your childhood is over, at me, I was stunned. I froze in fear as I can't handle anyone shouting at me. I got such a fright when they shouted at me that I wasn't actually able to answer back. The very fact that in my 40s I was reliving an abusive episode from my childhood shows that my childhood wasn't actually over. So when this person shouted, Your childhood is over at me, I should have shouted back, No, it's not. And that's where I got the title of my book from. I remember clearly I felt such shame talking to this person who shouted at me because I was made to feel like I was being a whinge bag and a perpetual victim. It was after this that I thought to myself, my childhood is not over just because I'm an adult. It has followed me all through my adult life, so much so that I managed to recreate in my adult life almost identical toxic abusive situations that I experienced as a child. Therefore, until we stop that hidden toxic force called repetition compulsion from controlling our lives, our childhoods will not be over, because while under the control of this toxic force, we will always invite abuse back into our lives. And lastly, the final reason we don't tell anyone about our toxic abusive parents is because we know we might not be believed. Many toxic abusive parents are masters at good appearances. They can be kind, charming, generous and helpful in public, and yet completely different behind closed doors. People see the friendly, smiling version, not the controlling, cruel or abusive one that we experienced in private. So when we tell the truth, we risk being dismissed or told, but your mom's so nice, your dad would never do that. That disbelief can hurt almost as much as the original abuse, at least I find it. Look, if any of this resonates with you, please know you're not alone. Speaking about a toxic or abusive parent doesn't make you ungrateful, it makes you honest. Healing starts when we start to tell the truth, even when others aren't ready to hear it. I wrote about this issue in my book, and I advised anyone who wants to talk about their toxic or abusive childhood to find someone they can trust to talk to. Someone who understands what it is like to have a toxic childhood. People who don't understand abuse will say things to you to shrug you off. They will make you feel guilty for daring to speak out. Try and stay away from people like this. They will actually only cause you more hurt. Find someone who understands where you are coming from and make sure this person can keep total confidentiality. Ideally, it would be great if you could find a fully qualified therapist. It takes a while to work through this issue, and you deserve to be with someone who will not judge you or shout at you. So tell me, what do you think about this question? Do you talk about your toxic or abusive parents yourself, or do you keep it to yourself? If you keep it all to yourself, have you ever asked yourself why you do this? Might it be for the 4 reasons I outlined here in this video, or do you have other reasons as to why you keep it to yourself? It's a very difficult area to deal with, and it took me a long time to speak out about my childhood. Hey, now here I am on YouTube telling the whole world about it. Look, I'll tell you, I don't find this easy to do, but I know why I do it. It's not to get back at my parents. It's to try and help others who had a toxic or abusive childhood too. Look, if I can help even one person, then this channel is worth it. I'll be starting my Tales of Repetition Compulsion next week, where I will be giving examples from our everyday lives to show how the hidden sinister force called repetition compulsion impacts on every area of our lives. Stay with the channel and learn how to break free from this sinister hidden force. I'll sign off and say goodbye to you all for the moment. From Ireland. What a beautiful moon is out there tonight. It's a full moon. I'll talk to you soon. Oh, let me hand you over to the 3 wise tales, Petal, Blossie and Dotty. We can't forget them. They just want to say something to each of you before we all head off to talk to the man in the moon. Good night.
Hello, my name is Petal. I am the nervous wise tail in the pack because I had a difficult childhood. I sometimes like to hide under a big hat. I'm often very nervous when I'm around people, but I'm getting better at being out in the world as I am learning how to stop my childhood from ruining my adult life. I can tell you that I know only too well what it's like to be scared, to think you'll always be stuck in the same painful story. But you won't. You're safe here. We want every video on this channel to help you understand why you repeat the abuse you suffered as a child, and we want to show you how to stop doing this. Even small insights can set you free. So don't give up, stay with the channel and stay with the pack, because we woof you.
Hello, my name is Blossie. I am the calm, wise tail in the house. A wise old dear, as I'm 12 years old. Look, you've come a long way, even if it doesn't always feel like that. What happened in your childhood shaped you, but it doesn't have to trap you anymore. Here on this channel, we're learning to spot the sinister hidden force called repetition compulsion and the way it sneakily causes you to invite the abuse you suffered as a child back into your adult life. Stay with us and step by step, we'll help you to see the patterns clearly, gently and without blame. Remember that I woof you too.
Hello, my name is Dotty. I'm just drying myself after a bath because I rolled in muck again today. Now listen up. You survived more than you realise. The past has been bossing you around for too long, and now it's time for you to take charge. You are in control of your life instead of a sinister hidden force called repetition compulsion. Stay with us and we'll show you how to stop those bad messages from your childhood from ruining your adult life. You are way stronger than your history, and together we'll prove it. Bye for now, and I woof you to tonight's beautiful moon and back. And remember, I'm the entertainer in the pack, so hopefully I'll keep entertaining you. Bye.